Hello, everyone. I'm Kelly, and this is Kelly Loves Books and Movies. And it's October already. Can you believe it? Fall is just starting to peak here. Not peak, but peekaboo, because it's been such a warm September, and the leaves are just starting to turn, and the weather has just started to get a little cool. And yeah, I am welcoming fall finally. So, since it is October, I am going to do a wrap up of what I read in September. Okay. A lot of what I read, well, I'm still working. It's only 25% through of the year, of the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. Started in July, so July, August, September, the first 3 months. I'm probably gonna do a video next week of how it's going. But yeah, some of the books this month were specifically for that. Others I just wanted to read, and they fit within that. First up, I read The Thursday Murder Club, and this was because I need a series of at least 4 books. So I was trying to find a series that was just 4 books. And since then, I chose this series. A 5th book has come out, and I'm not even really sure that I'm going to use this as the series, because I liked the book. I didn't love it. The mysteries were kind of good, It's basically this group of senior citizens that live in a retirement community. Seems kind of like a fancy schmancy retirement community, and they get together every week and try to solve murders. Mostly, at the beginning, their intent is to solve cold cases, and then murders happen around them. So then they have some fresh cases to work on. Overall, I liked it, didn't love it. Maybe I'll give the second one a chance. I'm gonna give the second one a chance, and we'll see if some of the things I didn't necessarily love about the first book, they will not be there in the second book. Next up, I read The Nickel Boys, and I read this because a movie is coming out this fall, winter. It's made the rounds at all the big fall movie film festivals. It's probably gonna be an Oscar contender, so I thought I had better read the book first. I absolutely love. Okay, first of all, it's about boys that are in a reform school in the 50s and 60s, maybe, in Florida. I can't remember the exact dates, and I got this from the library, so I don't really know. I don't remember off the top of my head when it begins. But reform school in Florida, I believe, and it's basically just kind of the life of the boys there, and there's a little bit of a surprise in there. Absolutely loved it. It is definitely the book I liked the most this month. And if you are looking for a great book to read this fall, and it's not super long, I can highly recommend Nickel Boys. Next up, Saturday night at the Lakeside Supper Club. This was about a supper club in northern Minnesota, and it's like owned through multiple generations, and how those generations either love it or hate it. I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was better than Kitchens of the Great Midwest, that is also by the same author. And I grew up my parents always went to supper clubs, and we only got to go on special occasions. So it was a big deal if we got to go to the supper club on a Saturday night with Mom and Dad. I know Wisconsin likes to claim the supper club culture, but it really is a total upper Midwest kind of culture, and so, yeah, it was fun reading about it. Next up, Colored Television. This was just came out in September. I needed a book to read for the reading challenge, a new release in the month it's released. This is what I chose. I like this book, and the more away from it and I've been thinking about it, I've liked it even more. It's about a writer. She teaches a writing classes at a college, but in the book she is on a sabbatical to write a book. She had write her second book. She had a previous book. The book writing, why do people... I'm parked here all by myself. There's a gazillion places to park, and these other people park right up by me. What's up with that? People. Alright, they just turned around. Anyway, she is a writer. She's taking a sabbatical to write a book. She has a couple kids. Her husband is a artist. She finishes the book finally. It doesn't go that great. She gets an agent and starts working with a TV producer to write a pilot. It kind of doesn't go that great. It's kind of a skewering of, that whole culture, the pilot culture. And producers, and then, yeah, like throughout the book I wasn't liking it, and then I kind of liked it by the ending, and then the more that I have sat and thought about it, I do like the book. Next up was Remarkably Bright Creatures, and I think a lot of you have read this already. I liked it a lot. I guess I kind of loved it. I kind of loved it, but not completely loved it. There are a couple of things like that the octopus did. I'm like, sure, whatever. Yeah, but it's a good book, and if you haven't read it, yeah, you should read it. Maybe I don't want to tell people what to read. If you look at what it's about and it has any interest whatsoever in it, go ahead and read it. Next up was Lucky Penny. And this was for the challenge, a completed webcomic. And I tried looking at completed webcomics online, and I didn't really like reading them that way, like on the computer. And this was one that was completed and then also published a book of the comic. It was actually pretty good. It's a girl, it's a little bonkers, but a girl who she loses her job, so she's living in a storage unit. She gets this job because her friend's family owns a laundromat, and her little brother runs the laundromat, and the little brother is 10. But it's like I said, a little bonkers. But the artwork is gorgeous, really pretty. I don't have the vocabulary to describe the artwork, but other than I really liked it. I'm glad that the challenge has me reading things I would never normally pick up. Next up, The Lion Woman of Tehran. I think this is another one a lot of you have read. The story of a girl. Well, at the beginning she's a girl. Well, two women who are friends in childhood, and just how, they're both kind of poor at the beginning, and then one does well. Her family moves up in the world a little bit, and just their lives and where they end up. It's a great... I'm not describing it good enough, but you all have probably read it. I loved it. You should read it if you haven't. Okay, next up, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I only read this because I'm reading James, and I just got that from the library yesterday and started it this morning. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, I did not like. I did not like it at all, and it wasn't because it's old and the language is obviously not great, but it's just it was too long. I know you're going on all these little adventures, but they just drug on and on and on, and I was like, get over it. If I was 10, I probably, maybe not. Even if I was 10, I think I would have gotten bored, because I was bored at times. I mean, there certainly were times you're like, oh wow, that's what's happening now. But it just was long. Like the whole thing with the actor guys. It's like, oh, come on, just, oh yeah. Okay. Next up, The Dutch House. And I have to say, this was my third Ann Patchett book, and the first one that I loved from beginning to end. The other two I've read, I loved, and then the endings just kind of made it me not dislike, but not love. This one I did actually love from beginning to end. It is about a family, well, basically brother and sister. Their mother leaves them. They live in this big fancy house. Their dad's like a businessman and like in construction. And then eventually he dies. And well, first before he dies, he gets married and again. And so when he dies, she kicks him out, the kids out. And it's basically their life, how that affects their lives and just dealing with that whole thing throughout their life. And kind of comes around full circle, and it's and I loved it. This actually I finished on October 1st, but since I haven't finished anything else, I'll just do my whole list of what's complete. Iron Lake, William Kent Kruger. It's the first Cork O'Connor mystery. Another book I loved. It's Cork O'Connor. He was a sheriff, no longer a sheriff. People get murdered. He solves the murders. That's what the mysteries are about usually. It takes place in a fictional town in northern Minnesota. I thought it was really interesting. The whole backstory of why he's not a sheriff anymore kind of goes into in northern Minnesota, the Native American fishing rights, like the courts gave, and this actually, the basics of this happened. It's based on something that did happen, although I don't think anyone got murdered. I don't remember when it really happened. I don't think anyone got murdered, but I'm not I don't think anyone got murdered. But anyway, it was interesting reading that and going, oh yeah, I remember when that really happened. And in the book, too, it's at the very beginning of when Native Americans started opening casinos here in Minnesota. And, it's interesting because I think back to that time. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. So, yeah, I really liked it. I'm looking forward to reading number 2. This cannot be my series for the reading challenge because there's like 20 books. I am not going to read all 20 of them before July, but I will get to them eventually. So that's everything I read in September. October, I don't know. I mean, I know a couple things. I just picked up James at the library yesterday. Picked up Evenings and Weekends. Also a fairly new release. I got that at the library today. I had them on. They've both been on hold for like ever, and of course they all come at the same time. So I have those two. I'll be reading the new Michael Connelly book as soon as it comes out. I'm very much looking forward to that. I know I've talked about that a little bit before. Probably have to read some spooky stuff because it is October. I do have to read a fall book for the reading challenge, and I got I was in the mood for a cozy mystery, so I got a little cozy pumpkin spice something. It isn't the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, but it's Pumpkin Spice I don't know. It's not the Pumpkin Spice Cafe author. It's somebody else, but it does have pumpkin spice in the name. And I do enjoy a good pumpkin spice anything. So, except for a latte. Unless it's the 7-Eleven latte, because 7-Eleven lattes don't really have any coffee in them. They have the tiniest amount of coffee, because I'm not really a coffee drinker. Anyway, that's my update for September. Let me know. Have you read any of these? Did you like them? If you have a suggestion of a different fall book I should read, let me know. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.